Good afternoon. I'm Larissa from the Global Digital Marketing team at Tourism Australia, and I just wanted, before we start our session, just a few little housekeeping things. We've got a QR code if you want to scan it and give feedback about the session, or also if you have any other questions. Also wanted to note that we're recording this session for our friends who unfortunately couldn't make it today. The session will be put online on Wednesday, so if you have any questions, just put your hand up so I can pass you the microphone. And we want to make the session a bit more interactive if you do have questions throughout, so just let us know. But I also wanted to introduce you to our amazing speaker, Michelle. So Michelle Allen is Head of Travel for Google in Australia. She joined Google in 2011 and has had over 17 years experience in the travel industry, working in France, Spain and Australia, having previously worked for Amadeus. So I'll hand over to Michelle now to kick off, to give you some tips and tricks on how to use Google's tools to make sure you show up online to all of your prospective customers.
Hi, thanks for having me. Can everyone hear me okay? Sounds a bit loud actually now. If you can't, tell me, I'll speak up. All right, so the content that I have today is in 3 parts. The first 2 parts are around some of the free tools that Google has that I highly recommend taking advantage of. They're easy to use, they're free, you don't have to be technical. I definitely recommend looking into them if you're not using them already. And the third part is around Google paid advertising. And I've got a little snippet at the end around some tools that you can use to get data and insights around the travel industry. There we go. All right, a little bit of scene setting. First of all of this content is a very condensed version of a live stream that we did in March. It's an hour and a half's worth of content that I'm trying to squeeze into 20 minutes. So if you want more detail, go to this link, Grow Australia, and look for the travel series. It's in 3 different parts. All right, so everyone knows the context. It's been a really tough 18 months for the travel industry. In Australia, of course, we had the bushfires that then backed straight into coronavirus. The impact on the travel industry has obviously been enormous. And in general, what we've seen is the impact on small to medium businesses has been more profound than some of those larger organizations. But in general, we've seen over the last specifically 14 months with COVID, a big shift in consumer behavior when it comes to online consumerism. So during COVID, we've seen around 200,000 households shop online that were not shopping before. And of those, 65% are still shopping online. So and from a travel specific lens, we know that at any point in the consumer journey, around 96% of Australians will come to Google to find information. Doesn't mean necessarily they're booking through Google, but it means that they're coming to find out information about a potential trip, any element of that trip or things to do. What have we seen across 2020 in terms of search behavior? The first 2 are the ones that interest me most. 60% increase in people searching for things near me. So that could be cafe near me, lunch near me, tours near me, hotels near me. So there is a real bias to people looking for things closer to where they are physically located. And there's been a 200% increase in people searching for interstate travel. Makes sense, right? People have not been able to go overseas. Intrastate within the state that they're in, but also interstate traveling between different states in Australia have seen a big surge. I think we've been quite lucky in Australia compared to many other countries where you haven't been able to travel outside, well, basically outside your house. And we know that there's a huge pent-up demand for travel here domestically. Every time that there is a border opening announcement, there is a huge surge in people searching for that specific destination. So I think that the positive, optimistic signs are that people still want to travel and are still traveling, and they're searching for travel. These are the 3 areas I'm going to talk to you about today. Google My Business, also known as Google Business Listings. The second one is Google Analytics. Those first 2 are both free tools. And the third one, as I mentioned, I'm going to talk quickly about Google Ads. All right, Google My Business. I will cover two key areas here, what it is and what the benefits are. So what is a business profile on Google? Does anyone not know what this is? This essentially is how your business can show up across any device, whether it be mobile, tablet, desktop, when people are searching either specifically for your company or your product or your service, or if it's in Google Maps, something more generic, so as a topic or an area. It was just about how your business shows up, and you have the ability to control that and input it. Why would you have one of these? So I mentioned that at any point in the travel consumer purchase journey, over 90% of people do come to Google to find out information about the products that they're booking. This allows you to moderate and control what information consumers are seeing. And especially in times of COVID, where things have been volatile, opening hours have been changing, consumers have had different questions around social distancing, whether or not they need to book, cleaning, things like that. This is a great tool, a first step where consumers can start to get that information. And as a business owner, you can control things like you can turn on instant messaging. So let's say a potential customer has questions about your opening hours or your COVID policies. If you wish, you don't have to, but if you wish, you can turn that on and have an instant chat with your customers or potential customers. There is also the ability for your customers to leave reviews, and we know from our research that 88% of customers consider reviews as credible as a personal recommendation. So they're very, very powerful. And it is true that you might not always get a 5 out of 5 star rating. You sometimes might get a disgruntled customer. It happens. This is an opportunity for you to be able to manage that messaging and answer about why their experience wasn't what they expected. Or just as the same, it's an opportunity for very happy customers to write glowing reviews about your business. And I like this because it's an opportunity for you to show how you manage as a business, both the good and the bad about what your customers are saying, and it helps to build confidence and trust in your product. You can also add a phone number to your profile, so very quickly if someone is searching for your business or a business in your category and you show up, they can very quickly, easily just call you and ask questions. So they've got multiple channels by which to contact you by. You can have the instant chat messaging function. You can also just have that link for them to call you. You can, if you wish, share updates through posts on your business to let people know what you're doing on a particular day, if you've got different experiences, if you've got different things that you want to highlight about your product or service. I would say if you are updating Facebook or other social channels, you can, if you so choose, reuse that content and reuse those posts so that you don't have to have different strategies to make it more scalable. But it's a nice way to keep an ongoing dialogue and communication out there about your business. And you can also add photos. 90% of customers are more likely to visit a business if they can start to visualize what it is exactly that's on offer. And I think that travel is a great industry in that it is a very visual industry. People do want to know what it looks like and what they should be expecting. And I mentioned about that ability for customers to instantly contact you. It is possible, depending on what tech you've got in the background, for booking appointments. If your business or service has the requirement to make bookings, it can integrate, Google My Business can integrate with third-party booking tools like Appointee or Mindbody. And it's a great way, straight from the search page, that somebody can come there and book directly with your product or service. It's just a nice, easy booking flow for them.
Sorry, does it link with Resdi?
It's a very good question. Does it link with Resdi was the question. I don't know the exact answer. I would Google that and double check it. Might do. And if you don't have a website and that's something that you've got on your plan but you don't know where to start, there is a tool to be able to set up an easy, simple website if that's what you want to do to start building your online presence in more channels. All of this is really easy to use. I do get feedback that is too complicated or I don't have the digital expertise. Anyone can do this. We've made a lot of progress over the last few years in really making the user experience for business owners a lot more simple. It's step by step. It prompts you to put in different bits of information along the journey. So the whole Google My Business environment has become a lot easier to use and also a lot easier to update. We know in COVID things have been changing so quickly. Lockdowns have happened, they've stopped. You might want to be updating business hours. You can do it all really quickly through the Google My Business interface. And I'm about to come onto Google Analytics in a second, but the analytics behind what you do online, that's number one. Is one of the beauties about doing things online is you can really understand what's happening to quite a granular level. And with Google My Business, you can start to see things like, how are people finding you? How are they interacting with your profile? Are they coming to you through Google Search? Are they coming to you through Google Maps? Are they visiting your website, or are they asking for directions on Google Maps? Where are they coming from? Who are these people searching for you? And also, what days do people search for you the most? What days have the most activity? And that can be quite interesting when you're looking at when are my peak days for people searching for me? When are my peak days for when people are actually coming to visit me? So you can start to get a feel for how long is that journey between the researching and the visiting. In general, we've seen a lot shorter booking processes, booking journeys, I suppose, over the last 12 months, because people are unsure of whether or not in 3 months they're going to be able to go to a particular destination, or whether or not they're going to be able to book a particular service because of COVID. So it's a really great insight to start looking at.
1 minute.
So why create this profile? For me, I think the number one reason is that, as I mentioned earlier, 96% of people are coming to Google at some point to research their travel experiences or travel bookings. So be there, have that presence, don't miss that opportunity to have visibility and be in that consumer consideration set when they're making their choices. It's also free and it is really easy to use. I would recommend having a look if you don't already have one and just having a play. It is simple to get your presence out there. If you want to know more about it or how to set it up, you can just go to that link, google.com/business, and it will start you off on the process. All right, Google Analytics. Make better decisions with Google Analytics. That's the beauty of data.
Please move to your next appointment, appointment 60.
Just wait for that to finish, what can you learn through the data and the insights, and that is the beauty online, is what you can glean and what you can start to understand. So we're going to cover just a little bit about what is Google Analytics, exploring the analytics and insights, what data it can provide, and also I'll tell you the link of where you can start to set up Google Analytics. A lot of people find the subject of data and analytics a little bit overwhelming. It doesn't need to be. Again, I would recommend making a start. It can get very complex and very analytical. The main thing is just to make a start, because you can actually glean some really powerful insights from the very basic data. The first step is to start collecting it. So definitely data is facts. But it's not just the facts. You can just have loads and loads of data and just not know what on earth to do with it. The next step is to start looking for patterns and trends within that data. And the third thing is what you're going to do. What are the insights? What are the actionable things that you can do and make business decisions based on that data? You can't get to the third point without doing step number 1 and 2. Where you want to get to is step number 3. All right, so how can Google Analytics help your business? First of all, you have to decide, or have to be very clear on what exactly is it that you want to be measuring. So Google Analytics, just to be really clear, is a way of measuring or collecting data about what's happening on your website, on your online properties. So the first step is to really understand, what is it that you want to measure? What is your measure of success from your website? It's not the same as for everyone. For some people, it's downloading an online brochure. For other people, it's driving online sales. For some businesses, it's just getting traffic into the website and passing off leads to other businesses. So
Please
first step,
appointment 60.
First step is to be very, very clear on what it is you're actually measuring as success. You can have multiple, that's fine, but just be clear and define what is success for your business. So Google Analytics is a free tool. It measures what happens on your website. What you need to do is there's a snippet of code that you add onto your website, and then there's a Google Analytics interface, which you can see here. I'll show you screenshots of each of these, but essentially Google Analytics can tell you real time what is happening on your website. In real time, what exactly is going on in your website in terms of who's on your website and how they're behaving. It can show you conversions. Is your website being successful? Is it meeting the goals that you set out to achieve? Who's visiting your website? Where are they coming from? And what are people actually doing when they get to your website? So real time, what's happening now? This screenshot is showing that 152 people are currently on your website. You can also see where they're coming from. You can see in terms of geolocation, but you can also see in terms of traffic sources, whether they be coming from organic search, whether they be coming from referrals from other websites, whether they be coming from, for example, paid media or Facebook. You can see all of the sources of traffic into your website. This helps you to understand which traffic sources are valuable to your business. And then once you move along the analytics journey, you can start to understand which traffic sources are most valuable to your business, which are driving users that are demonstrating the behaviors that you would consider success or a conversion. Where are these customers coming from? That was just what I was mentioning there. You can see here organic search, direct, referrals. You can also see things like what hour of the day they're coming to your website, so you can start to understand if there are peak traffic times, or if, for example, you release a blog or you release some kind of social media post, you can start to see what time of the day they come. Did that specific post have an impact on the traffic on your website? Who visits your website? So who are these people? Are they from a specific age bracket? Are they predominantly male or female? Which geolocation? This helps you start to understand who your product and services are resonating with. But also, is it who you expected? I think that's the thing with data, is you can make assumptions, but until you know the facts, you might actually not be right about what your assumptions are. If you thought that you were really hitting the 55 to 64 range, you can see in this one, that's one of the lower audience groups, but you thought that was really your target audience. Well, this would be an interesting insight to say, well, actually, I'm getting the most number of visitors from 25 to 34. And so either you've got a whole new audience that you didn't realize should be your target customers, or your messaging's not quite resonating with who you think is your most valuable audience. What do people do on the site? So this is a user flow in aggregate about how people are coming through your website, what journeys they're taking, and then in the end it shows you how they exit your site. This is key to understand, to start to understand conversion flows, which pages are working. You can start to see things like time on site as well, time on page. It also helps to flag if you've got any pages which have an unusually high exit rate. Maybe there's something wrong with the page. It could be an error. The page doesn't load. It takes too long to load. The information's just not what the consumers are looking for. Helps you to start to understand how you can optimize your website to keep users on your site and performing the actions that you want them to perform. And the most important one, all of these add up to, is your website being successful in terms of what you want it to achieve? If you've got a really high bounce rate, if people are spending loads of time on the FAQ page but are not converting, helps you start to understand, is your website performing the function that it's there to perform? If not, why not? And digging into that. How do you set it up? Okay, just go to google.com/analytics. Again, this process is quite simple. It's a step-by-step user flow that will give you a snippet of code that you need to add into your website. and you just get started from that. A piece of advice, don't make any decisions, any big business decisions without collecting 4 weeks of data. And you need a chunk of data to be able to start to see those patterns. So if you have 2 users, it's probably not wise to make big business decisions on that. Try to get a healthy sample size where you say, actually, this is probably representative of what's happening. So give it a few weeks to collect data, and then you can start to try to glean what those insights are. All right, Google Ads, Google advertising. So the first 2 tools I mentioned are free. The Google Ad Spaces is paid. I have a video in here, but because it's only a short presentation, I'm going to skip it. If you'd like to watch the video, go online and look for Bridestow Lavender Farm. It's quite a good video. They are a lavender farm, that's their business, but they've actually found over time that the way they sustain their business has actually become through tourism. It's quite a good video, so I'm going to skip it. All right, what are Google Ads? Does anyone not know what Google advertising is? No, everyone does, so I won't spend too long on it. There are different types of Google Ads. The ones that probably most people know about is on Google Search. We also have 2 other key areas, and that's the Google Display Network and also video ads on YouTube. We also have something called Google Shopping Ads. I'm not going to cover those today because that's more of a retail focus, and you need a specific technical setup for that. But I will cover high-level search, the display network, and Google video ads. Google search, so that's how the ads normally show up. You know it's an ad if it's got a little green box on the top. As you're looking at the screen, the top left, that says ad in it. As a travel service or product seller, you can set up your Google ads to show against specific search terms, or against specific audiences or audience passion points, like, for example, adventure travel, people interested in traveling to Australia, to foodies, whatever it is. So you can choose how you target your advertising. These search ads appear across devices, so it could be mobile, it could be desktop. From a travel perspective, over 50% of travel-related queries happen on mobile, and over 40% of transactions happen on mobile. So don't discount mobile. Please, if your website is not mobile optimized, please make sure it is. It's a horror. You would have experienced it. It's a horrible experience if you're on your mobile and you're trying to scroll backwards and forwards across a desktop site on mobile. The Google Display Network, it's banner advertising. It can be text. It's often more visual. It's sometimes video advertising, but the Display Network is a collection of hundreds of thousands of websites that Google has partnerships with, where we place advertising. And again, you can target this in many different ways. You can target this based on the content of the web page, but you can also target it based on the audience passion points. So you can make sure that whatever your product and service you're offering is really hitting those consumers who are in the mindset, or who have an affiliation, or who have a passion about the type of product that you're selling. So you have complete control over who you target, how you target, and how much you want to spend for specific customers. So I mentioned this, the ads can appear across, they could be text, they can be visual, they can actually appear on YouTube as well. Again, mobile is key because of the volume of traffic that comes through mobile. So all devices, when you think about your marketing strategy and your ad strategy, I would recommend not thinking device specifically. I'd be thinking across all devices. So video campaigns, if you are a business that has videos already, or you want to start creating videos, I love the travel industry for one of the reasons for that is the visual nature of the industry. We do have the most amazing, beautiful content. So if you have videos or you plan to make videos, you could think about driving views of those videos through YouTube advertising. Again, you have lots of rich options on how to target this. different formats. You can do 6 seconds, 15, 30. You can actually have unlimited amount of time that if you, your video doesn't have to stop at a certain amount of time. And you can target it again based on different audiences and passion points. How do you get started with these? The easiest way, if you don't do Google advertising already, is something called Google Smart Campaigns. And it's an advertising solution for small businesses. It's very easy. Again, Google's spend a lot of time trying to make our products more user-friendly, and it's a step-by-step. The system walks you through what your product is, what your website is, and you literally just fill in the fields, what your budget is. You just fill in the fields to get this set up. You can set up a smart campaign in 15 minutes. It's very easy. And it's a way to test how to get traffic onto your website, how to get new customers. Again, the analytics behind this is really important because you obviously want to know that this channel is working for you. But it is a way to get visibility. It's fantastic if you've got Google Ads and you've got your Google My Business, and you're just making sure that you're top of mind when people are searching either for your product or service, or products and services related to or similar to, or that you want to appear next to. It's pretty easy to use. I'll let you read those steps, but it is limited online, ongoing management. The last point's the most important, one of the most important. Make sure that you keep reviewing whether or not these are working for you and whether or not they're hitting your marketing and your sales goals, or whatever your specific goals are. So talk about goals. You always have to know what it is that you're trying to do with a specific channel or a specific platform. So do select that goal. Decide on what location you want to be targeting. You don't have to just target Australia-wide. You don't have to do global. You can say, actually, I want to target people who are in South Australia, Western Australia, or you could choose multiple. Or you could say, my customer base is Australia-wide. So you have that choice about how granular to get. You write your ad and then you set your budget. It's very simple. You also have the option, there's a box that you can tick which just says, this is my business, this is who I want to advertise to. I don't mind what platform it shows up against. So you can say, I'm happy for it to show up against in the display network, in Google search, and if you've got a video, you can upload videos as well. How to get started? Go to that link, /ad support. The last two things I want to show you are free upskilling resources, I suppose. I mentioned at the beginning we did these sessions, that what I've just whizzed through, we did that in an hour and a half, 3-part live stream in March, so you can get a lot more detail. If you go to Grow with Google, you'll find that live stream content there. It's now recorded, it lives there. But on the Grow with Google website, they've got loads of other tools to help you digitally upskill. And that could be everything from career management, writing your CV, to time management, to project management. We've even got courses.
Next appointment 17.
Courses on AI, lots of courses on how to better manage your website. I definitely recommend going there. It's all self-paced learning, so you can do it in your own time, and it's a really rich resource. This last one I love. It's really new. We launched this in October, and it's data around global travel consumers and how they're behaving in terms of interest in flights and accommodation. How I've been using it, because Australia is currently a domestic-only market. I set the filters to people in Australia, interested in Australia, and you can start to see trends of what people are looking at, destinations. You can see indexed query volumes, so you can keep a finger on the pulse of what's happening from a travel interest perspective. This link is Travel Insights at Google, so you just Google Travel Insights and you'll get those. It's a really rich way of just understanding what is happening out there when people are searching for travel, just to see what's going on. That was a whistle-stop tour of the content. Does anyone have any questions for me? How did I do for time?
On time.
On time.
Does anyone have any questions for Michelle? No. So as we mentioned, all of the presentations will be uploaded on Wednesday, but Michelle's obviously given some links just now. If you have any questions for us, we'll just be hanging around for a little bit after this. But thank you for your time and enjoy the rest of AT. Thank you.
Thank you.